ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of Navigating Life with Viwe. I come not alone. And before I introduce who I'm here with, I just want to say thank you for keeping us talking. Thank you for liking our page. Thank you for subscribing. Please, if you haven't, please subscribe. Please hit that button and ensure we keep talking. Okay, I come not alone. I'm yet here again with our wonderful, handsome, cute, I would say available, but maybe not appropriate. We don't know that, at least not yet. I come not alone. I come with my very dear friend. Hello, Mawetu.
Hello, Viwe.
How are you?
It's very good to be here.
Excellent.
How are you doing?
I've looked forward to this session.
Always.
But we must be grateful to whoever is supporting us for keeping us talking.
Guys, those comments are appreciated. All of them, positive and negative. They go a long way. Thank you very much.
Yes.
May you do more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We had intended to create this platform to make sure that we have conversations that we believe we're not having enough of in society. And thank you so much for taking the journey with us. Thank you for trusting us with your time. And thank you for following us and for subscribing and for supporting us. But today we have a special guest, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
We have our very own, and I'm glad to have to call you my dear friend, going back a long time. We have in the house Dr.Z.Hlalempini. I don't know how to introduce you, but I do want to say this is not just a medical doctor by training, which is quite amazing, right?
Yeah. What an accomplishment.
She's also an author. It can turn, right? If you want to get to know our guests more deeply, her book is available and it is called It Can Turn. I'm sure you can get it from Amazon.
Right.
And Take a Lot.
On Take a Lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is somebody who has owned her story. This is somebody who has been very aware. And that this is somebody also who has taken her own life experience and wrote it down for those who want to use her life to reflect. I see your life as a success story for some reason. I see you as an overcomer because I'm also intricately aware of your personal circumstances. But having said that, just for now, please greet our viewers and our supporters on Navigating Life with Viwe. Hello, Zukwana.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, and I'm just so happy to be here.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a beautiful space. Thank you, Mawetu, for inviting me here.
Yes.
I'm just so excited to be navigating life with you.
Yes.
You're one of my favorite people, so let me navigate with V.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. That was radiating.
Yes, thank you. I promise you guys, both of you, it is my absolute pleasure to sit here. I think for me it's quite an inspired moment, and I'm quite blessed to be part of this conversation today. We have said that today we will be talking, and I think I'm saying this because quite ahead of you guys maybe haven't gotten Zikwana's book, but if I can introduce us, we are three individuals that have had to sort of part ways with life as we knew it before. Is that how I can call it? We all have made it out of marriage situations which all three of us have sort of imagined before that it would be for a lifetime. And we are honestly here to speak about Umjolo. Have you ever had 40 pluses talking about Umjolo? Is that even appropriate? Are we even allowed to?
Oh, definitely, we're allowed to. We're still alive.
Oh,
we're still
okay.
alive. Our hearts are still pumping, darling.
They're still pumping.
Very
they haven't
relevant.
stopped. Okay.
They haven't stopped.
No, I'm asking because I think for me, I don't know. You might just come in, I don't know, with maybe some sort of insight into what I want to actually say. That I think, as divorced people, is marriage not your only shot at dating? Are you allowed to exit marriage and still come back and say, I want to fall in love again? Is that even a thing? What do you think, Zek? Is that how it should be?
I would say definitely. I would say marriage is a journey on its own.
I see.
The start of it right till its end. And the saddest thing is that when we get married, even in a marriage that doesn't end with divorce, those vows say till death do us part. But sadly, one person is going to die and one person is going to be alone. They're not going to die together. So even within a traditional marriage, someone is going to be left alone. So now we're talking about the non-conventional one where we divorce.
Yes.
So both of us go our separate ways. But even within all of that, life continues to move on. Should we ever come to a point where we say life must stop because of someone else, because of certain circumstances, then we stop being individuals. That's what separates us from animals. It's our tenacity. It is we are resilient. It is our resilience. It is all of those things that make us to continue to dare to love, to dare to trust, to dare to be loyal, to dare to do it again.
I see.
I love the chick.
You know what? Do you know what? I almost didn't want, and I know how it happened. It happened quite organically that I asked you first, right? But I also just want to check in with the guy. Because I think as a woman, for some reason, whether we stay or live in these marriages, the burden is put so much more on us. And I'm happy for that response. I'm happy that you're saying, for as long as life continues, we still have a chance to please dare again, if I may say, to love, to trust again, to be loyal again, and to do it all over. And it's quite unusual, for women to take that stand boldly, because sometimes people would like to do it, but more secretly. I love that you are quite bold in that element particularly.
Yeah.
Let's go to the guy. We know you guys are given the red carpet to date.
Well,
right?
I'm somebody who believes in second chances, third chances, fourth, fifth, as many times as you can. And I always say, if you meet somebody that makes you feel whole again, why not? You go for it. Again, we are the chasers, right? You guys are the receptors most of the time. I wouldn't imagine at this day and age, although women have become, with emancipation, have become daring, they actually shoot their shots, all right? But in most cases, traditionally, it is a guy that will actually approach a lady and say, listen, sissy, I really, really, really saw you and I was drawn to you and I'm attracted to you and so on. So if you meet somebody that makes you feel like that again, you express your feelings about it, and if they say no, you move on to the next, or you go and lick your wounds, take some time, internalize it, and go for a retake.
Yeah, and I might be speaking out of honestly bias at this point, because I did say with you that I feel like gents are obviously rolled the red carpet for to say you can move on. There's no time limit to when you can do it. There's not, in actual fact, more people are waiting you to enter the arena again because for some reason we believe there's less of you than us, right? And one might even wonder why this question had to come up, because one might be saying it's entirely up to you. But I know that in society, there are people who get so stuck in their lives that they don't even know whether or not they can re-enter the dating space, which is why the question had to come up, and to say, what is your view? And I mean, also for you viewers, you are allowed to also just come in on this one to say, what is your view? Some of us will look at it from a religious perspective to say, it is till death do us apart. It's your one shot at dating. And if it fails, that's it, And I hope you understand that for us, as you saw us expressing in response to that it is entirely, you are honestly the author of your own life. You've got women like Dr.Z.Hlalempini saying, you can dare to love again. You can dare to trust. You can dare to be loyal again. Life is to be lived. As long as the clock is still ticking and your heart is still beating, you may still go on with your life and to find and express your love with somebody else. Okay?
I totally agree.
Now, having explored, having also just come out of that where we've established, look, love is my portion, guys, by the way, also. I will die on the side of love. I will move on, and I will move on, and I will move on You know, I will keep moving on. Love is my portion. I will die on the side of love.
That sounds so Shakespearean.
You know what you say. This is a conversation I had with my sister yesterday.
Yes.
You know, my sister and I were talking, and she was like, "Zukona, are you looking to date? Do you want to date? Do you want to be in a relationship?" And I was saying to her, "Of course." Of course, there's nothing I want more.
Why not?
And
That's
then
so matter of fact. I love it. Yes.
I said, there's nothing I want more. And then she says, so what's the problem? It goes back to what Mawethu was saying. I'm like, I have to wait for someone to want me, Vuyo. I cannot just go and want someone. I'm a lady. As a lady, I cannot sit and think, okay, I like that guy. I can only like them from afar, and that's still sad. I'm agreeing with Mawethu because even in 2025, it's very difficult to be a 40-something-year-old who's just gonna go and say, can we go to the movies?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that unless we're going Ben 10, and that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
I think that needs its own podcast.
Yeah.
Judging from your dating as a younger person.
Yes.
Before you were asked, and this does not apply to you because you may have asked, you know, somebody to marry you.
Yes.
But it does apply to you on the second part to say, what has changed in your approach to dating? So I'll tell you, and I'll draw from what you've just said, that initially for me as a 40-plus-year-old, right, is that the traditional, I mean, if you grew up or born in the 80s, we were sort of socialized similarly, you know, that you allow the guy to come, right? But I still see you still there. The guy must still come. What else is still traditional? And also, before you answer that, right, what do you have different? You know, what is a different expectation for you now for Umjolo, you know? And that part, also applies to you to say what is different for you for Umjolo versus when you dated initially in that dating, which may have resulted in your marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, Viwe, this is such a layered question. It's layered in that when I was younger, the concept of loyalty and fidelity was something that was assumed. It was never really even something you said and spoke to your boyfriend about. He was your boyfriend, you know. It was very nice.
Sure.
You didn't have to worry a lot about, he could be with someone else, I could be the side chick. All these things are really relatively new. Okay, yes, maybe they were there, but they were not as strong as they are now. If you remember, we grew up, Tina, we grew up Elokshin in townships.
Yeah.
In a township, you stand in a corner with your person. You know what I mean?
Everybody
knows.
In
a corner, everyone knows. The corner and Mzukisi are a couple, and they are standing in that corner.
Yes.
And so there was very little of what right now is.
So
now as a 40, I'm 43, turning 44 next month.
Yeah.
Very different. My expectations are so low. That is probably why I'm not even dating.
Baby.
I'm assuming that whoever is going to come with me, I'm probably number 16.
Baby.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm agreeing to a low standard, but I'm just saying that I don't really believe that there's someone who's 44, who's single, who's waiting for me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, audience. I'm really sorry, audience. The expectation of that there's someone who's gonna be 44, who's gonna be loyal to me, where there's not gonna be any side chicking and any trending on social media. I mean, now you're scared of even trending. I was telling my sister, Vuyo, I want to be with someone, but what if I don't know if they're married? And then next thing tomorrow I'm trending. I'm a doctor for crying out loud. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. I don't want to trend because these people don't say that they are married. They come, they give you all this attention, they love bomb you.
Then you get cancelled.
The next thing you are cancelled.
Media.
This doctor is like this. So it's so different, Viwe. It's so different. You have to go in with your heart guarded. Your heart has to be, you have to give out 20% of your heart because the other 80% you have to keep inside yourself to save yourself. It is that tough. And And then it then makes me sad when I think about my children. When I look at them and I can say, okay, fine, uzikona, maybe dating for me maybe has ended. Let's just assume the worst possible. Let's say, no, I don't want it to ever end. But I'm just saying, if this is how I feel about dating, what is the future of my daughter Emma? If for me dating is, I don't believe half the things people say.
Oh, baby.
Because you have to prove them. Because most of them lie.
Oh.
It's a tough one when you're in your 40s. They are married. 50% of the people that actually love bomb you are the married people. The other 50% are the people who are broke. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Whoa. Here, the dynamics,
So
my goodness.
Let's maybe take it on with humor, wait.
Right. Okay. Yes, I think it's similar to what Doc Uzikona was saying. All right. At our age, people are schooled. They are not expectant. When you are younger, you are full of expectation. All right. You are full of assumption. You are full of happily ever after.
Yeah.
That is pre-parenthood.
Yeah.
That is pre-vows.
Yeah.
Engagement and so on. It's butterflies in your tummy. You are a young adult. Then you do not have much experience of dating. But right now you dated, you got engaged, and then it gradually went to exchanging vows, right? And then you are newlyweds, and then you are new parents, and then there's things like postnatal depression, and then there's building, and then there's careers, and then there's harnessing all of those life demands again. And then the marriage, honeymoon phase, parenting phase, raising the kids, and then you're at loggerheads with your partner, in the case of those who are divorced, and then boom, eventually it's the wreck or the end of marriage.
Yeah.
You are heartbroken. You're feeling maybe less attractive, especially with females.
Yeah.
All right. And you feel that you've given this thing your best shot, and your appetite for dating is low. In most cases with guys, your appetite for females is low. Your appetite for males is low for a particular point in time, up until you start finding yourself, you heal, and then you realize that actually, having tasted marriage, there will always be a part of me that is yearning for companionship. All right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's always the case, and I'm sorry for guys. Well, I'm not sure if I'm correct for saying for guys, but I know that there's a certain proportion of the population. I'm of the opinion that marriage in its setup, primary setup, is that it gives men so much comfort, that utata ukhona, izihlangu zikatata mazipolishwe. Let's make sure dad's meal is ready, so it sort of gives you this 5-star hotel experience, so to speak, from the wife. And one maybe perhaps may understand when you suddenly have this withdrawal issue, when you're not married anymore and you want to have somebody to continue rendering such services.
And
right?
I want to say, Viwe, as much as I'm divorced, I want to do that. I want a relationship where I'm cooking for someone. I want the shoes to be shined. I think ultimately we are just beings that are not meant to be alone. I think in the end, companionship is something everyone likes. It's something everyone wants. Even if someone says they don't, it's just a way of protecting themselves. Companionship and growing old with someone, is what all humans desire. It's what you seek, I'm looking, my sister and I were having such conversations yesterday. I said to her, you know what, Viwe, I'm 44 next month, and I've had a hysterectomy, so I can't have children. So I have not had a period in many, many years. So now, Viwe, I don't know what's going to happen when I'm starting menopause. like, Viwe, what if I've started menopause, but I don't know yet because there's no period? And I want a kind of guy. So when Viwe and I were discussing it, I'm like, Viwe, what if I'm menopausing, but I don't know yet because there's no... And I'm like, I want someone who's going to be menopausing with me. who we're gonna talk about it. Baby, do you think I'm sweating a lot? Do you think I'm sweating a lot? Do you think I should go and see the gynae? Do you think I'm sweating? So I want
that
someone
person
to
in your life.
someone who I'm gonna talk about menopausing with.
One thing I've realized though is that people are guarded. People have got their vulnerabilities which they don't want to be open about. You don't want to, I don't know, when you meet somebody new, right? It is only when you're vulnerable with them that you can begin to love with an open mind, to love from an empty cup again. But our cups are not empty, all right? But you can start dating once you drop those defenses, that you stop being highly guarded.
Is that
there
why?
is
Is
too
that
much
why
of...
some of us aren't dating? Are we too guarded?
Yes.
Are
Yeah.
we? Okay.
Yes, you just need to drop your defenses. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment in order to date. All right. We always think we need to position ourselves because we've lost so much. All right. We don't want to lose again, and we believe the potential not to lose again is that you must amass a lot for yourself first and be well established first. It's okay to do it bleeding. It's okay to do it. Look, there are times, it's okay.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. That's so merciful. That's so graceful the way you're putting it.
But I
love
also just
that.
want to add to what you're saying, which I actually accept so much, right? That you can't use the same mental framework that you used in your, if you're expecting different outcomes. So I almost just get worried when people also bring in their past to say we are so guarded, I've lost so much, and yet I still want to make it work with somebody, because for me, it's always a question of who are you bringing? Are you bringing you with the security system around you? And love does not thrive in such situations. I think when you want to have an exchange, because relationships are honestly just systems of exchange, when you want that to happen, there's certain parts of your history or whatever happened to you that you have to consciously let go of. And I think most divorces, that's where we get stuck, whether it is the expectations. And I think we get stuck around issues of other people's expectations. You get stuck primarily, and I speak to the woman that's maybe sitting there, not sure how to go on. And this is the shame some of us carry in the marriages when we don't want to live, is that who do I then become? I would rather stay here, be seen to be a functional person who is trying to make their marriage work, than to go out there and try and explore something with Viwe, whom there I will still have challenges of whether or not who do I become, because I'll still carry as gossip or that I'm bringing with, So I think for me, we, as much as we spoke so nicely initially to say we want to continue to love and to trust, and to be loyal and to celebrate Christmases and New Year's together. But the work is also always so internal. How much of ourselves and how much of our pain that we identify so deeply with this and that happened to me, how much of that are you willing to let go? Because that's the extent to which you will be met with love. Because love does not, and unfortunately love is also a biblical concept, as much as I'm not a practicing Christian. But there are certain things that are so true that you can't literally, you know what I mean? So love cannot exist in the context of being so mindful.
Doubt.
And I actually want to come back to what you were saying. Oh my God, what if I'm menopausing? You know what I mean? So when you create every barrier, that becomes your reality. That becomes everything that stands at odds with wherever you want to go. And it's a conversation that can be extended further than love to say, what do you believe about yourself? Are you worthy? You know what I mean? Is this love supposed to meet you in this lifetime, or have you retired to it entirely? Maybe to be met in your next lifetime.
Sorry, Viwe, I wanted to just respond to you. You spoke a bit about walls and boundaries that we put on ourselves,
yes.
and some of these actually become a hindrance to
Yes.
the continuity of dating.
Yes.
And I just wanted to just share something that I personally decided to do. That I believe a lot in I do what do you call them? Oh, now I've forgotten the word. But I like to do rituals.
Yeah.
So I most of my life has a lot of rituals that I do, either to start something or to end something. For me, at the end of my marriage, for me to be able to start dating again, what I did was I had a jizo. A jizo historically speaking, is something that's used in Japan.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in Japan, when mothers they carry their babies and the babies don't go to term either through miscarriage or a stillbirth, those children need to actually be taken to the afterlife. So what happens is that they'll have like a sort of doll type of situation, and they take this doll, and it's along the path. Many parks in Japan, you see these Jesus in these nice cute outfits, and they're having sweets and all these nice things, and basically they are carrying these sweets to be carried by this. There's this angel who's gonna then carry the baby's spirit to continue their life, because their life did not start. So that's how I viewed my marriage. I viewed my marriage as something that I had wanted to be forever. But now that it was not forever, I needed a jizo as a representation of taking that marriage and make it go on, transcend beyond us.
Yeah, yes.
So and for me, I planted a tree. And the tree, I planted a tree, and the tree grew and it grew and it grew. It grew so much. But when the time came for me to finally date, I took down the tree.
Honey.
The time had come. The
what?
time had come.
So you waited.
The period of
Is
mourning.
how long you waited.
the morning
Guys,
had
I
ended.
did not wait.
The morning
didn't
period
wait.
had ended. Remember even when
It is not that long.
for me personally, I had to
grow.
The tree grew so quickly.
Yo.
that long.
What kind of tree was that?
It grew so quickly.
What do you call the tree? Is it a jizo tree?
No, I called it my jizo. And
Your jizo.
Yeah,
All right.
It's called
so
a
I'm
jizo.
thinking, no.
The jizo is a concept in Japan. So when I planted the tree, it was a jizo tree, and it was so hard to take out.
If it takes you a lifetime of a tree for you to feel ready to date again, then so be it.
Guys,
What,
I'm also not about that. I'm sorry about Jizo. I love Jizo. I love what it represents. I love what it does.
So
right?
how long did you take?
It
2
gets
weeks?
it gets you to a point where you can maybe say, you know what, I'm now ready. But I operate differently. I think for me, and I don't think it's totally irresponsible though, I think for me, one was to understand that I'm an adult, one.
Yeah.
And I am a sociable person, and I'm actually a sexual being as well. And for a woman like me, in all my glory, okay, leaving that to chance was going to be the biggest issue for me. Because here's the thing, please hear me out, right? So you literally walking into a restaurant. Right. There's this guy's catching you or who, whatever, catching feelings. I'll call it that. We are 7-7, somebody else is catching. Yeah, okay. I don't have a system big enough to process how all of you are feeling about me, who's real and who isn't.
Okay.
So for me, my primary thing was to know if I now am a sexual being, where is the sex going to come from? Secure the sex.
All right.
Know where it's coming from and stick to it. For me to leave things to chance, but I respect you. I have another level of respect for you suddenly. I mean, what? A tree?
Yeah.
Look, how long did you wait?
But Viwe, you seem to forget.
Me,
you seem to forget that there are also toys.
It's not easy.
You seem to forget that there are other alternatives to sexuality.
I said I'm also a social being as well. Do you understand? For me, I just want to own my man issues with somebody, but it's not a necessary, because also I don't want to be misunderstood as somebody who absolutely relies on the presence of a male to survive. It is just, I do not want to have to strategize around it. I don't want to have to figure out that person and that person and that person. And if I'm in a situation, say we're in a
you are in charge of your own decision making.
I like control. I like to know this is where, and for me, once I've established and I've locked that down, then I function around it.
If I can add, I was saying to my sister Viwe, this thing of me not dating is actually wasting time, because I am more productive when I'm dating. When I'm dating, I can accomplish 8 things. I remember the year I wrote It Can Turn. I had a relationship.
Our published author, guys, by the way.
It must have been a good,
But she still has the tree.
Love interest.
No, the tree left. No, it was the relationship was okay. You know, it was okay. But for me, I just want to also say a relationship helps me thrive.
I love it.
Currently, yes, you can see me as functional. You'll see me in ward rounds. You'll see me teaching students. But when I'm in a relationship, even when I'm teaching those students,
it's the deposits that you're getting.
I'm gonna do it myself and show them. So guys, love is never outdated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Viwe, if I were to have someone now, I'll finish my research by December.
Because you have a point to prove at home.
Yes.
How many trees did you plant? My goodness, I feel like I'm such an odd person for saying.
But it was a form of catharsis as well, Viwe.
Wow.
Catharsis, I love it.
As a disclaimer, let us not assume, my dear viewers, that we have all mastered the journey. I certainly don't know if I have. But I mean, we're just talking in terms of attempts. So how long did you wait? Did you also grow some tree perhaps? Which I love, by the way.
I did not plant any trees, right? What I did post the
divorce,
the momentous occasion, yes, I worked on myself, all right, because there are things that happened that triggered me, all right, and for me to actually jump that hurdle, I had to work on certain things that were a blind spot that had may have contributed to the collapse. So I had to be a full human being again before I could make it somebody else's burden to actually cure me of my own deficiencies. All right. So I had to cure myself of my own deficiencies.
Wow.
But obviously dating post that era, you've got kids, all right, that you must introduce to this person. So you are still guarded in a way to say, look, I don't know if this thing is going to firm up and I'll be comfortable to be introducing these people as a new partner to their dad. You understand? So you basically meet people, they can see that you're a broken man. I don't know how you give it away because you start sharing at that point in time and then people realize that, okay, this guy
has been through everything.
Absolutely. He's a potential though. If he's good, as he says he is, why is he divorced? So already that's a red flag. And again, you've got two kids. All right, now I'm going to have to play mother to his two girls. Another red flag. So there are realities that you cannot undo, and you have to own those realities, okay, unapologetically. But now when you are being open to that person, it's like when you're going to buy a company, all right, you've got to do due diligence to that company. You have to know who their creditors are, who they've been having dealings with before you can invest your money into it. So sometimes, as much as we need to forget our past, we need to share it for somebody to know what they are letting themselves in for. But you do not allow that past to have a hold on you, all right? So people are still guarded. They don't trust you with their kids. They don't trust you to be you. There's too many dynamics already, and then there's money as well. Okay, maybe let's talk about that issue. I see we've been dilly-dallying around it.
No,
I heard you mention a guy that's broke.
That's broke.
See? Very important in modern day dating, in modern day relationships. Money is a currency, literally, for relationships as well. And you realize that where do these sentiments come from? All right. Now, people have to assess you. Things have to be transactional. And again, you realize that people desire a life that they've never tasted before. It's still idealistic. It's still based on, you were talking about social media. We live in a highly surveilled world. People are eager to share. All right, a bouquet of roses. Is it a bunch of roses or a bouquet of roses?
It
with 100 rand notes, orbiting around all the corners of the, So it's part of the bouquet. All right, people are doing those things, and then they are measuring their relationships. I'm measuring my relationship against Viwe's relationship, and if it falls short, then it's not a relationship.
It's not enough.
I want.
It's not enough.
So we looking for romance in all the wrong corners, in my view. All right, So it has become very, very, very complicated.
You know what?
And you battle quite a lot.
I would have assumed for a man, you'd be saying, it is such a breeze because it's really easier for men than us. I would have assumed that you'd be sitting there saying, for me, dating is much easier. I go to a person, the person, I would assume that
it could be that I go to all the wrong places. I've heard it a lot that you won't struggle. You will find somebody else. You will listen. I hope you did not bet your last money on it.
I think what I take away from what you are saying is that there has to be internal work done. And I think that's quite important for all of us. It's not necessarily gender specific. There has to be work done internally to sort of understand what your contribution might have been to the demise of whatever that you were in, and for each person to sort of work with themselves to heal themselves. I also understand that what you're saying is that the relationship dynamics have sort of changed with relative to when you dated before, because now suddenly issues of opulence or financial strong standing are also things that are being considered quite extensively in terms of how one moves on.
Right.
I also understand, what else did you say, that you also have other people to consider in your dating moving forward, like your younger persons, that is your kids. But to close it off, and in respect of time, what's off the limits? So I'm going to first maybe just expand a bit as we're closing off. That, I mean, if you are having somebody who's sitting at home making all these decisions and having these conversations with themselves, and they want to meet fellow people, and it's quite a pity that we are only sitting here as divorced people. We would have loved to have other people that may have been forced out of their love situations by other circumstances, whether it's lost through death, because those people also have to re-enter the dating space. And my question maybe right now, which I hope is there to assist everybody else, is what then? Because I think as a divorced person, you primarily operate from a premise of being cancelled. You know, you've sort of been cancelled out of the dating game because you failed umchado, right? And some people battle in that space. So as our last question today, as we conclude our business, one needs to maybe ask and get from you, my favorite people, what is off limits? You said Bentons at some point? Bentons?
Yes.
You said, and I mean, also let's come back and say, look, you've been through the journey of marriage. You may have dealt with infidelity or not, right? You may have gone into the dating game, I mean, which resulted in your marriage, with different expectations, and you may have come out of the whole experience with different views. Society is still going to lag behind you, right? Society is going to lag behind you in terms of how they view, because remember, whatever experience that you go through actually contributes to you as a whole, some being, you know, having overcome certain issues from your past. So now, what then becomes off limits? And I'm asking in terms of who do you date? Do you only seek to date people that, and let's be realistic, because this issue goes further than us, the three of us. And I don't want us to only answer from our own personal perspectives. You can have your personal perspective, but you can also tell me what you feel is reasonable, because this is not for us, this is also to take along our viewers, who may also just comment on our comment section to help us, you know, is there any limits to whom you date? Do we date single people, if there's still some remaining? Do we, because I also know, and I've heard as a phenomenon, people be like, I'm not ready to have my own person. I'm just going to date somebody's person because for this part of my life, I want to be building, and I just want to use that person for my adulting life.
Oh my goodness.
Let's adult. And unfortunately, it is, because remember, and this ties in quite closely with an episode we ran earlier, where we said, and I'm not wanting to influence what your response is, but it says the only difference between a flower and weed is judgment. So if we now intentionally cancel judgment and we say, as people who have lived the journey we've lived, who do we date? Do you now go for younger people because you're looking for more energy? Do you want to go for single people? Right? Do you go for anything and everything in between? Right? Do you want to explore your sexuality even further? Do you open up further to not your same? Do you go maybe test how dating girls would be in my circumstance because I'm a girl or you're a guy? But what then becomes the limit? Because you've just given it all, run the race, run it to the best of your ability, picked up things that were not necessarily said to you before, and now you are coming out.
Yeah.
And let us say you are an individual that actually also takes in the environment to make forward decisions about your life. So who do you date, my love?
Okay, wow. Viwe, I think it goes back to what Mawetu was saying. I date someone who has met themselves. Meeting yourself is not easy.
Yeah.
It's a long journey.
Met themselves.
Yes. Who has met themselves.
Okay.
It took a lot of pain, a lot of grief. The ocean has got many levels.
Yes.
Yes, the epiplegic is the nice one where we swim.
On the top.
And the hadalplegic is the
It's
one
right
where there's nothing
by-
that even lives. So I'm not even talking about all the other levels. I'm just talking about the two.
Yes.
The highest and the
And
lowest.
the lowest, yeah.
So
Do I need to go back to school again?
I got you.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
All right.
Don't worry.
I need my change.
You need the hadalplegic. That is the part of the ocean where no one has really
Right.
gone in and studied about it. So
Okay.
what I'm trying to say is that you need. There's even the third one is called the abysmic level.
Yes,
that is
Dokotela.
part of the ocean.
Yes,
that
my
one is
chum.
abysmic.
All right.
So imagine. I had to go from the epi through to the abysmic, through to the hadalplegic. I had to. Some parts of me had to die.
Oh, but
in order
Doc, you
for
are
me to
showing
live.
off now.
Some parts of me had to die for me to be who I am. I want
deep.
someone who has lived, who has met themselves, who knows who they are, who knows what they are looking for. Someone who wants to be with someone who's whole. And if there's one last thing I would want to add is this one. Let us not forget that you spoke about biblical.
Yeah.
Let us not forget that we also live in a spiritual world.
Absolutely.
Let us not forget that when we come out of these marriages and these relationships, it takes out some of what we are made of.
Yeah.
Let's not forget to cleanse, even if that cleansing is you praying to God for God to take away some of these spirits that are within you that come from different relationships. Because what happens is you end up dating the very same people, but they just look different. I end up being with Mawetu and I end up with being Usipo, but Usipo just is a different face, but is a
Same
Mawetu that
energy.
is even worse. And that I would want someone who has worked on themselves to a point where he knows
Just
he's looking for someone who
also has done enough work on themselves.
who has done enough,
Right.
Who has done that much work.
But are they there to earn you? And I'm sorry if I seem like I'm just doing a dialogue. It's just for a second.
It's all right.
Yes.
It's
Because
all right.
it's all great for us to imagine these people exist.
Yes. The question was, what kind of person would you want?
I understand. I love you for the
I'd want-
response.
Yeah.
I
I'd want-
love you for the
I'd want
response.
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But now if you're looking at the fact that I'm physical, I'm a sexual being.
Absolutely.
I'm someone who needs someone.
Yes.
Next week I could have someone who has none of those things because there's other parts of me that have to be fulfilled. That's the tough one.
Meet them, and they could be in a different place. Do you understand? When I was asking the question, I was quite physical in the asking, right? Because we are also working in a society that's quite lazy to sort itself out, by the way. But I'm also just saying, then who do you then date? Do you go for younger in the hopes of meeting somebody who's working themselves out? Do you go outside your sexual orientation so that you could explore what else is out there? Okay. Do you go now for somebody who might be married and confused? Not that you're there to sort out their confusions, but there might actually be people that are working on themselves, but tied physically in another situation. What's your boundary?
Okay, I think for me, there was a time when I explored quite a lot. I was even in a polyamorous relationship at some point, and the polyamory was the most confusing thing on earth. They explain when you meet them, they explain it. It makes sense.
Make it make sense to our viewers.
Okay. in a okay, I'm so sorry, viewers.
I'm sorry, I know the story already.
But luckily for me, my children know the story, so I can say it on television. But yes, I met this person. Book. This person was polyamorous and explained to me, listen, you're going to be my primary person. After that, I'm going to have secondary, tertiary, quaternary. And I think in my stupidity and my loneliness,
right?
No, it happens.
In my stupidity and my loneliness, I thought, no, man, this person, I'm going to make them love me.
Only you.
No, the secondary and the tertiary and all of that is not going to happen.
They will ease themselves out of it.
Yes, it's just going to, so I'm going to heal this person. I'm now going to be a healer. And they're going to become monogamous just for me. Did they become monogamous?
Amen.
Okay, they did not. So polyamory, that whole fluidity sort of situation, I wouldn't date. Ben 10, I don't find that I have a lot in common with people who are younger. I love history. Why did World War start? World War I start? What made World War? I'm the kind of person. Why did I just find that if you are younger, I don't think you know why the Berlin Wall fell.
I just
feel that for me, I feel for me to understand my present.
I'm sorry, young people, we love you.
Do you understand? So for me personally, they don't know Zeus. There are just so many different things I want to talk about that someone who's younger just wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that, and also people who are married, I'm scared of trending. People who are married, I'm scared of social media. I'm scared of trending in terms of the married people. Yeah. So basically, for me, so those are the people I wouldn't date. And for me personally now, I'm deciding to pray about it. I'm deciding to let God take over. And I hadn't actually ever been like that in the last 10 years because I've been divorced for almost 10 years now. So I hadn't been like that. I felt that God has got much more important things to think about than worrying about whether or not I have someone or not.
I love that.
So now I'm sitting down and I'm thinking I'm actually going to pray about it. And for the first time, I want to cook. When I was married, I never cooked. I want to cook for someone. I want to iron clothes. I don't know how to iron, but I'm going to learn. Okay. So I want to do those things, because when I was married, I was like an independent person still. Yes, but now I've learned. But you know what? That's okay. I lived that life. Now I want to be submissive now. I want to submit. I want that type of relationship, and that's what I'm praying for. And
I'm in your prayers.
God willing.
God is always willing.
God willing.
God is always willing. My friend, in the last few minutes,
right?
Are you going to respond to this question?
Absolutely.
What are your boundaries? What are you not? What's out of the question?
Look,
I hope high school kids are out of the question because
I'm at 2K.
With mothers and parents too, So what's out of the question?
I've never really had a desire to date
kids
people who were young.
Okay.
And I've always had a complex to date people who are even older.
Okay, no sugar mama here.
It
Well,
looks like it.
I realized one thing though, hey? Your question is very important. I'm not sure if I'll do justice answering it in terms of a binary format. But I've realized as I grow older, both vertically and horizontally.
More horizontally for me.
And with stature and wisdom, right? I realized that I don't have a type. Honestly.
Lord,
because a type goes from my level of awareness, from my own worldview of love. So if I want love done properly, yes, I can have my own boundaries, but I must be open-minded to what love has to offer in its completeness.
Entirety.
All right?
Shucks.
Because my worldview is very limited. So I've realized that I will know if I like somebody when I see them, instead of defining them prior to meeting that person to say she must be shaped like a mermaid, she must have this kind of follicle in her hair, and she must have this skin tone.
Must she be married?
No married people.
Must she be tall? Must she not be married?
No married people. No dating of people who are pregnant if the child is not yours. I'm just kidding.
So
Yeah.
I look, my
So-
friend.
so
fortunately,
honestly-
I think you're responsible
No,
to speak to the
Look,
truth.
there's obviously things like I can't date at work and stuff like that you can personally define. But I'm just saying, as long as I still believe that we must drop our defenses when love is concerned. You know, we spoke about the Bible. Viwe saying she's not a practicing Christian and all of that. But personally, I feel I wish I could recite the entire scripture, you know, in Corinthians 1 Corinthians 13. verse
13,
15.
yes.
Love
Yes,
is patient. Love is kind. It does not keep record of wrongs. It rejoices in truth.
and-
It is not jealous. And all of those
Kwaze
things.
kwakuningi
For me,
kodwa-
once you can actually take a piece of paper
I've always
and
loved
tick
that
each
scripture.
and every one of them, I think we shall be closer.
Hey,
to the
guys,
question
it's
of
a
love.
sketch.
That's the type.
Like Oksala is a sketch.
I absolutely agree.
I love how it sounds, and it's beautiful. And I pray that it's my portion, because I said I will die
There's a
on the
big
hill
but coming.
where love exists. I
Right.
love it. But I still think when you're working with humans, you still have to be very hard on with your boundaries. Right?
True.
But I get where
Absolutely.
you're coming
No,
from.
no, boundaries must exist.
And thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for this episode. I now know you guys better. I also I promise you, we hadn't had this conversation, this particular one outside here. And I'm so happy to have shared today with you guys and with our
I had
viewers.
a good time.
And I hope they have things that they've picked up. But I do want to say to somebody who
It was
might
also
be,
quite satisfying to hear a female point of view on matters such as
yeah,
this.
right?
Well done, ladies. I was cooled.
Thank you. I loved hearing a male
Perspective
a male
as well.
perspective because I was under the impression that males have it very easy.
Because remember what I said initially, that they have the red carpet rolled out for them. Even before they even exist, they are not working out marriage. Everybody's expecting them to be back on the dating game. But having said that, thank you so much for having joined us. I hope for somebody who's still figuring out how to navigate their lives forward, this has been a very insightful conversation for you guys. I think if I were to leave you with anything, having considered everything said, I think you are the captain of your ship. I don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. You decide what happens to you, and against everything that you might have been taught, you only know how life has turned out for you and I don't believe, dare I say, that we invite some of the problems that we find ourselves in. And I think our only response should be kindness to ourselves. I think we should treat our circumstances and ourselves with compassion. I think we should remember who we are, and it's in God's eyes, we are his kids. And it doesn't matter how people view your choices, as long as you are clear about your intention. So with that said, please go on Nijole, guys. Jolani, for as long as it makes sense to you. Find those people that you are willing to die on the hill for. Find your people that you want to trust, you want to be loyal to, you want to play it all over again for. Sure. I will tell you, and I think I'm just sharing a bit more from myself, it's always worth it. I feel like nobody should ever make you retire from love unless you do not want to be in love again. So having said that,
It's okay to be flawed.
let's continue navigating life with Viwe. Thank you so much for joining us. And do continue supporting us by subscribing and by sharing your comments. We will take them into consideration.
Yeah.
And do tell us what else you want us to talk about. Like us and keep us talking. And thank you, Zikwana. Thank you for joining us.
Z.
We absolutely loved having you. I'm fit. Ongen. Ongen. Chesa.
I know. You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so.